Hey, folks, good morning and welcome to another episode of Steelers Morning Rush. I'm Alan Saunders. It's Wednesday, January 29th. Today is the second day of Senior Bowl practice here in Mobile, Alabama. Excited to get back out to the practice field at Hancock Whitney Stadium a little bit later this morning. Go check out some more 2025 NFL draft prospects for you all. But the first thing I want to talk about today is all of my Twitter mentions from yesterday, which what I'm tweeting is what's happening at the Senior Bowl, which is Mike Tomlin being Mike Tomlin and being heavily involved in the scouting process, just heavily involved in the Senior Bowl. Like he's like part of the fabric of what happens here for a significant portion of NFL players ever. Mike Tomlin was one of the first NFL head coaches that they share a field with because he's out here. Like there are head coaches here, but not every year like Mike Tomlin, and not to the level of involvement that Mike Tomlin has in this process. And a lot of those comments I was getting yesterday sort of revolved around Mike Tomlin's role in the Steelers draft process. And I think some people expressing some frustration with it. And I kind of want to explain how the Steelers draft process works and why, whether you want Mike Tomlin here or not as the team's head coach, you probably should not be frustrated by his involvement in the team's draft process. So let's start with here. How do the Steelers make a draft pick? Who gets to decide? Who is calling the shots on draft day? And I think that's a question a lot of people want an easy answer to, and there isn't one. But so I'll start with the big picture. Art Rooney sets the direction for the franchise. He decides which way we want to go as a team, as an organization. And so, like, for example, in 2021, Art Rooney didn't say, we're picking Najee Harris. But he did say, we have to be better at running the football. I think they were dead last in the league in 2020. It's a part of the team's identity. They want to be better at running the football. Okay. The job of the general manager is to interpret those instructions into a strategy. Kevin Colbert's interpretation of those instructions was to draft a running back in the first round. And the Steelers did that. Now, when it came to deciding which running back the Steelers were going to take, did Mike Tomlin have a big say in whether it was Najee Harris or Travis Etienne? Yeah, absolutely. Those were the two running backs available at the end of the first round in 2021. But it's not like any of those people stood up and said, this is what we're doing, and the rest of you can't do anything about it. The decision tree kind of flows downhill. And when you change, and we know this is true, not just because I'm telling you, because I know, but that's what I've been told, is that when the Steelers made the change from Kevin Colbert to Omar Khan in 2022, you saw a significant shift in the way the team approached certain things. One of those things was positional value. The Steelers are not going to bring back Najee Harris, I don't believe. Not only that, they need to run the ball. They're going to probably get a very similar mandate from Art Rooney this season. They were terrible at running the ball. They're going to get told to improve it. And still, I don't think there's almost any chance that the Steelers are going to draft a running back in the first round this time around, because a different person is setting the strategy for how the team is approaching the draft. Now, if Mike Tomlin gets to pick between two running backs, he's going to pick. But also, there's a plan here in place that stems from Omar Khan and Andy Weidel that the Steelers are going to build through the trenches. And that's how they are going to attack this problem that they've been having. The other thing Art mentioned in his press conference the other day, the quarterback position doesn't seem like there's a reasonable fix. In 2022, the Steelers needed a quarterback. The Steelers drafted the best quarterback and didn't even really look at anything else. This time around, the Steelers need a quarterback. I know Art said they didn't learn any lessons, and maybe Art didn't learn any lessons, but the change in approach to needing a quarterback in a draft where there's no quarterback is already obvious one day in the Senior Bowl. In 2022, the Steelers were all over Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett here. In 2025, they are basically pretending that Jackson Dart and Jalen Milroe don't exist. So, you see this big shift. The only explanation for that big shift is that Mike Tomlin doesn't have as much control of this process as some of you want to think he does. Or, and brace yourselves for this one, Mike Tomlin's influence in the organization has grown, and that's been a positive. Look, I mean, when you replace a general manager and you have a new general manager and a very veteran head coach, it's pretty unlikely that Omar is just bullying Mike into making decisions that he doesn't want to do, right? I mean, it's possible. They worked together for a long time. I'm sure Omar's had thoughts and conversations over the years, but like, I also think the more likely outcome is that the improved draft process that we've seen from the Steelers the last 2 seasons is actually a result of more Mike Tomlin's influence into the process and not less. And I actually want to throw this out there. I had this conversation yesterday. Mike Tomlin loves evaluating football players. He loves this process. He loves taking these guys out to dinner, trying to get to know them, coming to all these steps. Like there's a reason he's one of the few head coaches that does every single piece of this offseason. And I think his passion for it is obvious, and his ability for it is obvious. The guy knows football really well. He's also a fair reader of people. Not perfect. Nobody is in this process. But I think he does a better job than most at finding people that are good fits for his locker room. I actually think if the Steelers continue to go down the path we saw in 2024, where the team as a whole probably did not underachieve, but the defense certainly did underachieve its talent level, and this continues, and the Steelers want a way out, I'd consider promoting him. I'd consider giving Mike Tomlin a front office job instead of a head coaching job, and just let him lean into this side of things and get his hands out of things like game day clock management, which he's never been very good at. And it seems like the calling of his own defense, I don't think it's been a long-term struggle, but it certainly was a struggle in 2024. So if like something like that persists, I actually think you could keep Mike Tomlin in the organization in a role where he just does this thing that some of you are expressing your frustration about, and that be a really successful path forward for the Steelers. Think about that. That's all I got for right now. Steelers Afternoon Drive with me and Smitty will be much later than usual. We are talking to the big media powwow availability after practice today. So I won't be getting done until about 6:15. So shooting around 7 for tonight's afternoon drive. So sorry to keep you waiting. It's a Central Time afternoon drive for us this Wednesday. But make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications here on the YouTube channels. We keep inching towards 15,000. I know it's coming any day. And that's all I got for today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, enjoy.